Equine Pathways Australia is a fantastic organisation supporting para-athletes in their bid to represent Australia at the Paralympic Games. Julia Battams is a former Australian Paralympic coach, and now the Australian Turf Club Foundation has set up a program along with EPA looking at Sydney trainers providing an off-track thoroughbred, hopefully to compete in 2028 and on to the Brisbane Games in 2032. Julia, it's been a great clinic here today. Unfortunately, there are no thoroughbreds here today, but we are looking for one for you. We'll get to that very shortly. But just tell us a bit about what's been happening today.
So we get a group of athletes that come in, they get a schedule for the weekend, they'll have appointments with physio, occupational therapist, an exercise physiologist, sports psychologist, a planning session and an appointment with a recreation specialist, plus their riding sessions. So it's a pretty full weekend for them. I think there's 13 or 14 athletes here this weekend. So yeah, it's a busy time. They have group sessions in the morning and then they all come together for lunch and their individual sessions through the day.
So how do you work in with riding for disabled? So you're Equine Pathways Australia and you're obviously, you know, at a higher performance level, but how does this work? I mean, this is a fabulous facility out here at Box Hill for RDA, but you're really, you know, complementary to each other, aren't you?
Yeah, we really are. I mean, we love coming to Tall Timbers here in New South Wales, and we go to other RDA venues around the country as well. And the relationship that we're setting up with RDA, I believe, is really, really important because there's an overflow, like a natural synergy really between what RDA offers and what we offer. Most of our athletes have physical impairment, but some have an intellectual impairment. But we offer sort of a recreation space for some people, but we also offer that high performance arm, so athletes that are looking to go to competition at the highest level possible through the Paralympic Games and so on. So it's just a bit of an extension sometimes of what the RDA program offers.
And it's so important, Equine Pathways. I mean, you were for 7 years the national Australian Paralympic coach, so you know so much about what's required for these athletes, as you say, to reach the highest level.
Yeah, so that's sort of my background and the thing I love about this sport is really creating and helping these athletes to develop their own teams around them so that they can reach whatever goal it is that they choose to reach. So for our guys, you know, you might have a gold medal performance for one athlete might be going on a trail ride for the first time, whereas for another athlete that gold medal performance might actually be a gold medal. But yeah, the high performance side is my passion, and yeah, I love working with these athletes and their horses.
And of course, Victoria Davies here today is a Paralympian, so she has that great experience herself. Tell us what you're doing with her and what her aims are now from your point of view.
Yeah, so Vic's trying to get selected for Paris Paralympic Games, which is not very far away. Being, you know, very excited and very keen to get on that team. So I'm helping her as her coach. Obviously she lives in New South Wales and I live in Victoria, so we do some Zoom sessions, but also having a weekend like this where we can do a face-to-face training is also really, really good. And Vic, one of the benefits about having somebody like Vic on our program here is that she's sitting down at the table with other aspiring athletes, aspiring Paralympians, or people who just enjoy being around horses and just, you know, sharing her knowledge and expertise and just rubbing shoulders with the other participants. So it's just fantastic.
It's so aspirational, isn't it? I mean, Kate Nipperis, of course, you've assisted enormously. We featured Kate on Thoroughbreds Are Go before, but, you know, she's such a great role model as well, and she comes from the racing industry. So there's a different angle approaching, you know, what a lot of these riders, you know, might want to know more about a different side of you know, the whole equestrian world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's been really good working with Kate because she's come to us with racing background, but she's a horsewoman, so she understands. She can read the horse. She can feel and sort of see what's happening. She's got that expertise. It's a different sport in a way, but it's still horses, and it's still very, very obvious that she's experienced, even if it's in a slightly different discipline. But I think the link really with the racing industry for off-the-track horses and our off-the-track humans, if you like, is just fabulous, being able to put the two together. So we'd love to get Kate on a really top quality off-the-track horse and get her on a games team. That would just be absolutely phenomenal.
Wonderful charity. Congratulations to both the ATC Foundation and Equine Pathways Australia.
Talking about that, obviously the ATC Foundation has donated at the recent racing lunch with ATC Business Connect and the Carbine Club of New South Wales a donation to Equine Pathways Australia to find a decent thoroughbred that will work for you, work for your athletes, and also find a horse a new home and get paid for. So what exactly are you looking for? I know Warren Moore, obviously, who you're in partnership with EPA, has sort of stipulated maybe getting a trainer to say, here's a horse that would be good for you. What is it you want those trainers to be sending you?
So for us, character is really important. A horse has to have a real empathy. There are horses that if they see a problem, they try to work out how to make it work, and there are other horses who might see the same problem and say, oh no, I can't do that. So we need that horse that really tries to understand what the athlete's after, a horse with a real desire to learn. But if we're looking for a horse to really take that next step and become a Paralympic potential horse, we need to see a horse that has the dressage style paces that we're looking for in this sport. So that's a really good overtrack in the walk. We tend to focus on the thoroughbred in the lower grades, so grade 1, 2 and 3. For the grade 4 and 5, there's a bigger emphasis on the canter work, but in the low grades it's mainly walk and trot. So we need a horse that has a good overtrack in the walk and some suspension in the trot. So a horse that can sit back a little bit, has a little bit more shoulder freedom, and that lovely slow rhythm, but with suspension. So they're not going to be easy to find, because horses, thoroughbreds are bred for what they're bred for, but I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure there are thoroughbreds out there that would fit the bill.
Yeah, it sounds to me, especially when you're talking about the overtrack or the overstep, often it's a staying horse. Now you're talking about a horse, it needs to be probably, you don't want 2 and 3 year olds that are retiring. You want a horse that's probably a 6, 7 or 8 year old, and potentially a staying type horse. There's a balance, isn't it? They don't have the big round hindquarters of a speed horse, but they do have the most beautiful walking or cantering, trotting action when they cover the ground more. Is that sort of more the type of horse you're after?
Yeah, absolutely. And my understanding is that those horses are also a little bit bigger, have perhaps a more slopey shoulder. So they're, for us, a horse needs to sort of be a little bit up in front, where my understanding is that the sprinters are potentially the other way around. So for us, a staying horse would be more suitable, I think. Yeah. And again, it's about the personality as well and the trainability. So, yeah.
Equine Pathways have absolutely changed my life. So they're effectively the pathway between RDA and high performance. So RDA, you'll go to just being able to get on a horse and getting used to riding with your injury or illness, and then you need an in-between clinic and coaching to get you from just riding a quiet pony around to being able to aim to be on a high performance squad. So Equine Pathways is fantastic for that, and of course it's run by Julia Badams, who's been the Australian Paralympic coach on multiple occasions. So she knows what's required at that elite level of high performance and is able to guide riders in the right direction.
Like the program that EPA have, they have world-class resources. They have fantastic trainers, they have the physios, they have everything, and the knowledge of what is needed for elite, to get to that highest point. I've known Julia Badams for, I would say, 14, 15 years. We're working closely now through EPA on the way to hopefully Paris.
When I look at him, I just think, how can a thoroughbred ever compete with that? Because he looks like the archetypal big, strong, powerful horse you see in, dressage around the world, elite dressage. But the thoroughbreds can, can't they?
Oh, they certainly can. Like with the Lusitano, which Soler is, he's not your normal dressage breed. The main focus for para-equestrian and also for Olympic dressage is the warm blood, that, you know, they dominate the sport. But other breeds do have a part, I think, and especially with para-equestrian, you need something that is safe, has a good mind, and with my grade 2, they're really looking for a horse with a really over-track walk that uses all their body, a bit like a leopard or a panther walking through the jungle. Yep. Is that the judges want to see that big suppleness, and that's where Soler struggles because he's more built for collection.
You need a horse that's flashy enough to make an impact to be competitive, but also something that has a good brain and is sensible. As I've spoken to you about before, I'm a big advocate for thoroughbreds and what they're really capable of doing away from the racetrack. When they come away from the track, they think differently, and most of them are pretty even-tempered horses. The benefit of them is they've been exposed to so many scary situations that a lot of performance horses haven't been, such as the big screen at race meetings, the crowds. So a horse that we would be looking for would be one who's not reactive to things like that. Potentially an older horse, they need to be 6 years old plus to compete at FEI level. Ideally a horse that's quite good to mount, so they need to stand quite still for most of these riders to be able to get on. And yeah, just one that's not overreactive to touch or, you know, something that might be a bit spooky to some horses, just one that's pretty even-natured.
What do you think is the right thoroughbred that would be successful at a future Paralympics?
Honestly, something that's suited for the lower grades, which is grade 1, 2 and 3, and just a forward trot, and something that's just walk trot, because in grade 1 they only want to see walk.
They're looked after like the high performance athletes themselves, you know, they're really well looked after. It's obviously a different environment to a racing stable, so they'd be in a performance yard, but yeah, they're beautifully looked after. They'll see the physio and they see the dentist regularly, and most of them find it less pressure. So when they come to our environment, the actual training pressure is reduced, so they're not as fit as they are obviously to race. So they tend to really relax and chill out and enjoy their work.
We'll look forward to, between Thoroughbreds Are Go, EPA, ATC, RDA, finding that thoroughbred for you, and we'll be back and we'll be updating people hopefully in a few months.
Fingers crossed, thank you so much.